Metamorphosis has been a really popular theme in literature. Dr. Jekyll becomes Mr. Hyde, Alice in Wonderland shrinks and expands, Dr. Frankenstein sews some dead peasant parts into a human collage. Science fiction has constantly used mutants, cyborgs, shapeshifters. In comics, metamorphosis started out simply. The guy steps into a phone booth and emerges a superhero. A young draftee is injected with Professor Reinstein's serum and becomes a frisbee-flinging hero in patriotic pajamas. And then it just got silly. Gamma radiation turns 4 people into an invisible woman, a human torch, a silly putty man, and a walking patio. It could happen. Radiation also produced a web-spinning teenager and a muscular leprechaun with an attitude problem. One poor schmuck got sped up by an accidental injection of mongoose blood. It's incredible. An entire genre of literature from industrial accidents. My favorite comic involving metamorphosis is Swamp Thing, especially from 1983 to 87, the classic Bissette, Moore, and Toddleben years. They explored both the physical transformation and the emotional.
The premise of Swamp Thing is a man who has through espionage, has a laboratory accident that plunges him into the swamp with a biorestorative formula, and he reemerges, voila, the Swamp Thing, some sort of organic combination of plant and man. The classic original issues that Len Wein wrote and Bernie Wrightson and drew were very much in the tragic mold of Karloff's Frankenstein, Karloff as Frankenstein's monster, the James Whale Frankenstein. This pathetic, this figure of pathos, this figure of mourning, this man trapped in this horrible body.
Now, it struck me that Swamp Thing was unremarkable in context of the DC universe. He was a big, strong guy, but there again, everybody in the DC universe is a big, strong guy. Other than that, he just walked round sort of, bound by fungus and feeling sorry for himself. It was a bit like Hamlet covered in snot or something like that. It didn't really do anything. And also, the premise of the strip was false. The whole premise of the strip was this guy was trying to regain his lost humanity. He was trying to become a human being. Now, even the most brain-damaged reader realizes that the moment he becomes a human being, the strip finishes. They're not going to do comic books about him going down the shop or sort of going to get his car repaired or sort of applying for renewal of his insurance. Once he stops being Swamp Thing, there's no comic book. What I wanted to do was to undermine that false premise and say he's never going to become human again because he was never human to start with.
So the book very much became about transformation, a being who awakens into the reality of what he is, that he's not a man, that there is nothing beyond the memory of a man left, that he is a plant being. And the potential of that, the ability to regrow new bodies, which we introduced, the ability to actually permeate the soil, take over the root systems of the plants there, and move mountains. The deeper we got into it, the more and more and more we found there that had not been touched, that hadn't been worked with, and that was just too good to ignore.
Change and transformation are things which concern all of us. We all hope to change. We all hope to be transformed. Not quite as radically as Swamp Thing was, but internally. And we all have the possibility to change ourselves and to transform ourselves. That seems to me to be something which shouldn't necessarily be treated as a source of horror. In most transformation films, the guy turns into the werewolf, the guy turns into the fly. Transformation is seen as horror. Change is seen as a source of horror. And the status quo is seen as a source of comfort and stability. With Swamp Thing, once he's given up this stupid idea of being human, then you see him exploring the possibilities of his new state. He thinks, no, I'm not a human being, I'm Swamp Thing, and I can do this, this, and this, and I have these senses and these senses and these perceptions. And the rest of the run, after those 2 or 3 introductory issues, was largely exploring the possibilities of change and transformation, trying to show it as a positive thing. Yes, you've turned into a shambling swamp monster, but that might not be too bad.